This is a CBS News special report. Here is Dan Rather.
President Reagan is expected to appear in the White House briefing room very shortly to announce a new Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Here is the President of the United States. The new Chief Justice will be William Rehnquist.
On May 27th, 1986, Chief Justice Burger advised me that he wanted to devote his full energies in the coming year to the important work of the Commission on the bicentennial of the Constitution, and for that reason would be retiring as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court as of the end of the Court's current term. Today, I received with regret Chief Justice Burger's letter formally notifying me of his retirement. And immediately after my conversation with the Chief Justice, I had directed my Chief of Staff, together with the Attorney General and the Counsel to the President, to develop recommendations for a successor. And I'm pleased to announce my intention to nominate William H. Rehnquist, currently an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, as the new Chief Justice of the United States. Upon Justice Rehnquist's confirmation, I intend to nominate Antonin Scalia, currently a judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, as Justice Rehnquist's successor. In taking this action, I am mindful of the importance of these nominations. The Supreme Court of the United States is the final arbiter of our Constitution and the meaning of our laws. The Chief Justice and the 8 Associate Justices of the Court must not only be just jurists of the highest competence, they must also be attentive to the rights specifically guaranteed in our Constitution and the proper role of the courts in our democratic system. In choosing Justice Rehnquist and Judge Scalia, I have not only selected judges who are sensitive to these matters, but through their distinguished backgrounds and achievements, reflect my desire to appoint the most qualified individuals to serve in our courts. Justice Rehnquist has been an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court since 1971, a role in which he has served with great distinction and skill. He is noted for his intellectual power, the lucidity of his opinions, and the respect he enjoys among his colleagues. Judge Scalia has been a judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit since 1982. His great personal energy, the force of his intellect, and the depth of his understanding of our constitutional jurisprudence uniquely qualify him for elevation to our highest court. I hope the Senate will promptly consider and confirm these gifted interpreters of our laws. And in closing, I want to say a word about Chief Justice Burger. He has led the Supreme Court, for 17 years, a time of great change and yet a period also of consolidation and stability in the decisions of the court. Under Chief Justice Burger's guidance, the court has remained faithful to precedent while it sought out the principles that underlay the framers' words. He is retiring now in order to devote his full attentions to a momentous occasion in our country's history, the observance in 1987 of the 200th anniversary of the Constitution. This is an endeavor for which all Americans will be grateful, and to which I and the members of the administration will lend our total support. I'm proud and honored to stand here today with Chief Justice Burger, with Justice Rehnquist, and with Judge Scalia, and to discharge my constitutional responsibilities as President of the United States. Thank you all. God bless you.
President, what impact do you think this will have on the abortion issue, perhaps the most emotional issue facing the court?
It probably won't surprise you when I tell you that I'm not going to take any questions now. Chief Justice Burger is here available for any questions you might have of him, and I think the others of us...
Are you satisfied that the judge agrees with you on the abortion issue, though, sir? What? Are you satisfied that the judge agrees with you on the abortion issue?
I'm not going to answer any questions. If I start answering one...
Mr. President, what was the process which led you to Judge Scalia? Did you know him before, or did people come to you and recommend him? What was the process?
I previously appointed him, which was President.
But what made you think that
surely
he was
you must think,
appropriate
sir, that he
choice for
agrees
this
with
job?
you on such issues as abortion, affirmative action, prayer in the schools?
That's a question. And as you said...
Why didn't you appoint Mr. Meese?
I can't say no questions. I can say no answers.
Mr. President, without a question, could you tell us a little bit about the new justice? Whatever you can.
Background
material.
But I mean for the American people, because we're...
available to us.
Do you know him personally?
Do you want to take questions on another subject? Have you heard from Gorbachev on the summit yet, sir?
No, I think the subject today is justice.
Well, can we ask Justice Berger? Chief Justice
recommend his
Berger, could you...
successor?
This is live from the White House. Chief Justice Berger has resigned and is stepping down. William Rehnquist is the new Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Antonin Scalia of the United States Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. will be a new member of the Supreme Court. Chief Justice Berger.
17 years in the court?
17 years, yes.
Sum up your tenure. What do you think you've done for this
It'll
court?
take me about 17 years, and you don't want to spend that much time.
Why are you leaving the court, sir? Could you explain a little bit why you're leaving the court?
For one primary reason, that the 200th anniversary of the Constitution got a late start. The celebration got a late start. It is vastly underfinanced, and we're going to have the devil's own time trying to do the kind of a job that ought to be done for this great event. John Warner, the chairman of the 76th event, you remember, was drafted from his job as Secretary of the Navy, which he did not want to leave. And he told me, he being an old friend, he told me when this subject came up last year that the job of chairman was a full-time job. I already have 2 full-time jobs, as you know. A job as a justice of the court, and the other job with all the vast administration problems. And it just isn't feasible to have 3 full-time jobs.
It's a matter of health, sir? I mean, people don't leave the court except for matters of health normally.
Well, you make the diagnosis. Do I look as though I'm falling apart?
No, but sir,
Well, it's not how you look, it's how you feel. I mean, was it a matter of health, sir?
Never felt better in my life.
Are you pleased with the direction that the court has taken? How would you assess your tenure in the court?
I wouldn't try to assess it. I'd leave that to other people to
Do
do
you
it.
leave it with satisfaction, sir, that you have accomplished what you set out to?
Not everything I set out to, no.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you said not to have finished?
What I did not finish was an absolute imperative, and that's to experiment with this intermediate panel that is now pending before the Congress. It's a 5-year experiment. Won't cost any money, and that's perhaps why it doesn't attract much attention in Washington. It literally will cost nothing except to bring the judges from wherever they are into Washington.
Did you participate in a judgment on the Graham-Rudman ruling?
I'm going to answer this other question first. That bill is pending. It would take about 50 cases a year off of the Supreme Court. And at the present time, if you're doing your homework, those of you who are regulars on the court, you'll find that there are 50 to 100 cases denying cert where 1, 2, or 3 justices file a dissent and say this case ought to be taken. There are important cases that ought to be taken that aren't taken. You know, we've gone from Chief Justice Warren's first year with 65 signed opinions, and we've been running over 150 for the last 4 or 5 years. We've gone from 1,400 and some filings back in Earl Warren's day to nearly 5,000, nearly 100 a week. The court's got to have some relief somewhere. I'm astonished that we haven't had some judges fall over with coronary thrombosis or some other illness of exhaustion and overwork. But going back specifically, the only health problem that I know I have is the one that I have had since I was 10 years old, and that's a polio back from having polio. And apart from the ordinary mental deterioration that occurs after age 40.
Did you approve of the new appointment on the court?
Beg pardon?
Do you approve of the appointment of Judge Scalia?
Well, the Constitution doesn't give the Chief Justice any authority on the subject.
But you have a
I have known each of these men. I've known Justice Rehnquist as a colleague for now, 15 years?
15 years, Chief.
And I've known Judge Scalia since the time he was an Assistant Attorney General. He's participated in extra judicial activities like being a member of the American team visiting England to study some of their methods. We are not close friends. I have a high regard for
each of them
Sir,
a high regard.
Have you grown weary of being Chief Justice, sir?
No, I'm not weary of it. No, I would like to have stayed until we got some of this remedy that I told you about. But I think the constitutional celebration is more important, and after all, there are some other people that can carry on this work. It's just up to the Senate.
Scalia, and can we ask Judge Scalia about his background?
Justice. Has the court ruled on Graham Rudman yet?
I don't know which question.
Mr. Chief Justice.
Have you had the Miranda warning yet?
Mr. Chief Justice.
Have you?
Chief Justice,
Mr. Chief, rule on that
The
yet?
ruling on Graham Rudman, because there was a leak and that out of pique, the court withheld the ruling. Can you?
I thought that came down last week. Did you all miss it?
Yes, tell us about it.
Are you denying that you have ruled and affirmed the lower court finding of unconstitutionality of Graham Rudman?
Well, don't you go back and read those things we came down a week ago?
I missed it.
You missed it.
Justice Rehnquist, could we ask you your thoughts about being nominated for the highest judicial post in this country?
Well, I'm deeply gratified by the confidence that the President has shown in me by making the nomination. I'll do my best to deserve that confidence.
Mr. Rehnquist, how is your health? I hate to have to be a one track, but you've had some problems in the past.
I think I won't answer any further questions of the kind that might come up before the Senate Confirmation Committee.
But you will have a more conservative court now, won't you?
I stand by what I said a moment ago. I'll defer all those answers till the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Your health will be a matter of question.
Can you share your thoughts with us as a new nominee?
Well,
as much as you can say about your...
Yes, on the substance of it, I think I'm with Justice Rehnquist. I know a good idea when I hear one.
What about your personal thoughts, then?
My personal thoughts are for somebody who spent his whole professional life in the law, getting nominated to the Supreme Court is the culmination of a dream, of course. And I'm greatly honored that the President would have such confidence in me, and hope that the Senate will do so as well, and I'll certainly do whatever I can to live up to it.